Hello everyone, and welcome back to 4KB Shorts Let's Learn with Kerbal Space Program. Been a while since I've done one of these, and this one's sort of an update. It's an update not only for one of my own videos, but also an update for a part in one of my own videos. Now, we are playing, of course, as you can see by the VAB, we are in 0.21. And in Kerbal Space Adventures, 0.21 didn't allow for the H.O.M.E module to be used because it was incompatible. Well, recently, Bobcat Industries and Bobcat himself was kind enough to release an updated version of the H.O.M.E module. Yay! Now, you might be saying, okay, B, if this is an update, why are we looking at the H.O.M.E module? You've already done one of these, and it was okay, and people watched it, and yay. Well, the reason why is because he didn't just update. He updated the entire mod to what I refer to as version 2.0, but what Bobcat refers to as version 1.05, I believe. And as you can see, we have here our old parts and pieces. We have the standard parts and pieces that we had in the original ship with all of our little habitat modules and everything else. We're going to make this a really tall ship and all this stuff. So we have all the original parts, absolutely. But we don't want the original parts. Goodbye, original parts. Mostly because if you notice this right here, it's where the ant would sit. And the ant has yet to be updated, so there's no ant yet. But we do have a cargo pod if you build a rover small enough to fit in here. I'm pretty sure the Humble Bumble might be able to fit in here, but maybe not. So, you know, if you can fit a rover in here, you have the pod now and it works, but that's not what we're here to look at. What we're here to look at is this. Ta-da! That's part one. Now that's the parachute. Okay, now we're going to keep going. Here's the main body. This is the living module. Look at that. Now there's no interior. I can tell you this already. There's no interior. There's no IVA for this living module, but you do have 4 windows. 4 pods, and I believe your entrance is located here. It doesn't come with a staircase or a ladder. You're going to have to put a ladder on yourself. And the reason I say you're going to need a ladder, you're like, well, KB, it's really close to the ground, and like gravity, you don't need a ladder. Well, you will, and the reason why is because this comes with 1 additional part located here. And you put that on the bottom. Now this is a very modular piece. If you notice, the gear land right next to it, no problems, everything's fine. But each one of these fits into one of those slots. Now you have more components than you have slots, so you kind of have to choose. But what we have here, and we'll go through them, is we have, let's just go ahead and clear these out so they're not in the way. What we have here is we have the H.O.M.E 2 hub airlock. Now Bobcat doesn't put any descriptions in, which is unfortunate, but I'm pretty sure the airlock allows you to connect to other items, other units. Not 100% sure how that works. I'm fairly certain it can connect 2 of these together. Like I said, I'm not sure, but it's an airlock unit. I believe it extends. I haven't used it yet. I haven't tested it. We may have to do that. From there we have the H.O.M.E 2 fuel generator. Required resource, air intake, electric charge, output, blah, 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 blah. So this is a fuel generator. So think the Kethane mod, but instead of using Kethane, it uses air. And you just plop one of these, boom, like that. And if you look at it, it's got the little glowy effect, which is great. Now for this to work, you have to have air intake, but it doesn't care what kind of air intake you have. You can have air intake like this. This is a gigantic air intake system that is used for this huge admin module to do fuel conversion, but instead you can use this little tiny thing. And in order to store the fuel, well, just so you guys know, what I mean is you can take one of these and be like, that can be your air intake. It doesn't matter, as long as your ship has air intake, this will work. Now, what that works with is the H.O.M.E 2 hub fuel tank. Now if you look, it says liquid fuel oxidizer 0 of 4000 and 0 of 4000. And so you can place this, say, oh, I don't know, let's flip it and place it right here. And that becomes your fuel, those are your fuel tanks. Now I know they look really, really tiny, but this is all modular and expandable. And there's a reason why everything fits in these little tiny holes. And we'll show you here in a minute. But then we also have the Hub 2 greenhouse, which is just a regular greenhouse for the ship. It acts like the old greenhouse does in the habitat module. And then we have the hub habitat, which of course fits, well, rather poorly. If I click it right, there you go, fits right there. So now we have all this modular stuff, but wait, there's more. There's one more piece, one more super awesome piece. It's right here, the H.O.M.E 2 heat shield. And we just take this and we go plop. Look at that. Look at that. Isn't that awesome? It's all self-contained. All self-contained. And the heat shield, of course, comes with its own jettison unit, which works. I have tested it. It absolutely works. And so what you can do is, as you're coming down, you burn away, and then you well, clicking in the valve not so great, but you you can have that removed, and there you go. You're set. You're good to go. So that just blows off and just flies off into whatever space or whatnot. It may catch on. I don't know how big the explosive is, but it may catch on. So you may want to rotate around and then jettison it. I don't know. That's totally up to you. And then you have your parachutes, and then you have your ship. Now, since this thing doesn't come with any kind of power generator naturally, you will have to use either thermals or, let's see, thermals or the other thing. And the other thing is, of course, solar panels. So you have to use thermals or solar panels, and you can put them around here, around the top, or down here at the bottom if you want to do 4 solar panels down here. You can say, like, you know, just plop one right there or something. And that will work. Now, I have tried to make this fly, and I don't know what causes it. I don't know if it's a bug with the system or what. But if you try to fly this on its own, it tilts really hardcore to this side. And on the version that I tried to launch earlier, the thing that was on the side was these fuel tanks. But if you look at the parts, and we're going to show you all the parts here, if you look at the parts again, the total mass and drag, 0.5, 0.2, 0.5, 0.2, 0.5, 0.2, they're all exactly the same for every unit. So the drag and the weight should not be different for any of these sides, but for whatever reason, and I don't know what it is, the thing drags really hard to one side when you have these units on here. I do not know why. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how this thing looks out there on the launch pad, and we're going to launch. Now I wanted to check something out. Let's go ahead and remove this modular system. I love the modular system, which is great for expansion, but let's take something like the let's take the Recon Module. Now, as you can see, the Recon Module fits, but it's a little on the big side. So although you can use it if you want to, you really can't use the heat shield very much, because of course it doesn't really fit on there very well. So that's something you can do, but it's not a requirement. And of course, if you're going with your lander legs, I don't think your lander legs are tall enough to do what you need. So we're going to go ahead and launch this really quick, get it out there on the launch pad. We're going to check out how it works. I'm going to show you the little modular bits and pieces, and we're going to see yeah, we're just going to see how it works. So I'll see you guys out there, because for me it takes a little time to load, and I'm not sure why. It takes about a minute, and that's a long time to be sitting staring at a screen. It takes about a minute to load in, and I'm not sure why. Probably a problem with my system, not with the mod, but for you guys it's only going to take 1 second. So I'll see you out there on the launch pad. Alright everyone, here we are out on the launch pad. We do have Biley, I think that's Biley, and Bob Kerman. Now, imagine for a moment you just came crashing down out of space, you blew off your heat shield, you landed perfectly right here at the KSC, and now you need to unload all your stuff. Well, I don't think the gear works. Okay, so G does work with gear. I tried this once before and G didn't work for me. So you go ahead and deploy your gear, and they're just tall enough to do that, which is great. Now from here you can deploy all your different parts. So let's say for instance we have our habitat module, so we'll say open habitat module. And so we already know how these animate, which they just go out the same way they do. So we have the hub module here for the greenhouse with our little squishy plants in there. And then we have the tanks, right? The tanks are awesome. Check them out. Now to me, the tanks look like 2 rubber mats, like rolled up rubber mats. I don't know if you guys have ever seen those really big rolled up rubber mats, but that's what they look like to me. But if you take a look, I don't know how they got the metal to do that, but they expand. They don't just sit, they actually expand. So they look like little rubber mats or something like that, but they're fuel tanks. They're gigantic fuel tanks. So if you were wondering how they could hold 4,000 units of fuel, that's how. I don't know if the 4,000 units is limited to them being open only. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. If it doesn't, you could probably use these as an alternative fuel for a kethane mod if you were feeling up to that. Now this particular mod doesn't do anything. It doesn't it does stuff, of course, but it doesn't expand or anything, so it's just stuck there in the side. So if we say start fuel conversion, now I'm not sure how my efficiency works. Let's see. Does this intake work? Alright, so the intake works, but I don't think it works the way I thought it did. We have RCS converter. We don't want that. Well, okay, so RCS is now off. That's not good. Start RCS converter. There it goes. Okay, so there's a little bug there where apparently it thinks one of the systems is running already, so you have to click shut down and then you have to start it again. So not sure why that's there, but there you go. So now we have our tanks filling up. So yeah, our liquid fuel is at 0.02. You know what, we're converting monopropellant. Does this thing store monopropellant? Oh, okay, so this thing stores 50 units of monopropellant, so it has its own internal storage. So let's go ahead and shut down our RCS converter, and let's turn on our fuel converter. So it looks like our fuel converter is now at 0. So it looks like there might be a little bit of a bug in the UI here, where the fuel converter doesn't work. Like, as you saw, the RCS was on and I shut it off and now it works, but there isn't one for fuel. So it looks like the fuel converter is not working 100% right now. That was probably going to be reported and possibly fixed in the future unless the fuel is getting pumped into here. Oh, it looks like it might be 0.03 now. So that might be, it might actually be shunting it directly into there. I do not know. Let's see, 0.03, 0.04. We're using a crap ton of power to convert, so 0.08, possibly? It's really hard to tell. So, oh yeah, there we go, 0.11. So yeah, so it works, but it's pumping it directly into these fuel tanks, strangely enough. But yeah, so we can shut off our fuel converter, which will get our power back up. So we have monopropellant converter, and I guess this stores it if you don't have something to store it. So since we have this to store it, it pumps directly into those tanks, and since we don't have an RCS tank, it pumps directly into the system here. I think that's how it works. Now, as you can see, no ladder here, and the parachutes work because they're right here on this zone. But you're gonna have to figure out a way to get that to work properly for you. With like this has a space for a ladder, works really well. This not so much, but you can probably figure that out without too much difficulty. Maybe a ladder to the side, since the Kerbal can stand on this. Maybe a ladder to the side that goes down, or something similar. It's not that big of a difference, or not that difficult a thing. Now, of course, this is mostly for show, so the habitat module, not super important. Probably exchangeable for the docking port or another one of these if you want to put a lot of Kerbals on your station or on your base. At the same time, not going to demonstrate it because once again these do not have internals, but you can pull Kerbin out of here and you can put them in here and you can put them in here, of course, through the doors. You know, just like the old H.O.M.E module, but much more awesome. And speaking of which, we are going to test this out and see how it returns to the surface. I do have one floating up there somewhere in orbit that I put up there just a few minutes ago. And we're going to head up there just now. We're going to bring it back down and see how it looks coming in through all that fire and such, and see how those parachutes work, and if its structural integrity is good enough to keep it from exploding. That's the other thing. So we'll go ahead and we will head up and we will check that out. So I will see you in orbit now. Yeah. Alright everyone, we are in orbit, and of course we do have Bill and Jebediah who volunteered to fly the ship first. I did not put any solar panels on the ship, so unfortunately any movements that we make does take power, so we are going to have to just burn for a little bit, get ourselves slowed down enough to come in from orbit and then ditch this big tank. It didn't take as much to get up here as I thought it would, so I kind of overcorrected with the tank, but I will show you how this thing rotates. So I'm now forcing it to go straight, but if I let go of the controls, if you notice, we are just turning sideways. And like I said, I don't know what causes that. I wish I did, but I don't. Now, we do have to go, I think, pardon me, we do have to go into the map screen really quick, just to see how our orbit's doing. It's not bad. It's not bad. I like it. Okay. I don't have MechJeb or anything because, of course, this is a clean build. This is a clean build of the game. This is the only mod I have, of course, is the H.O.M.E mod for this particular Let's Learn. That also means I do not have the Deadly Reentry mod, which is fine because I do not think this thing has any kind of ablative coating, which would mean the Deadly Reentry system would probably destroy it unless it was modded further. Yeah, we should be okay. Let's go ahead and ditch. Alright, so we have ditched. Now, I do have some RCS up here, which I was going to use to deorbit if I needed to. I don't need to, so I'm not concerned. We are now officially without power generation, however, which is something we were going to have to be kind of worried about, but not really. We're not very high up, say about 80,000 meters. You know, we're going to go down pretty quick, so let's just go ahead and time accelerate and head down, and that thing should catch enough air to leave us alone. We're, of course, going to accelerate very quickly through the atmosphere. There we go. We will speed up time slightly, I think. We're going to see how this thing performs when it comes in. I think it's aerodynamically sound, but I do want to check it, of course. Ooh, maybe we'll land on land. Probably not. That land's probably not big enough, and we're way too high up and not coming in at a steep enough angle. This thing does appear to have, at least for my system, as I said, might just be my system, but it does appear to have a little bit of a lag issue when it comes to time acceleration and whatnot. I am down a few frames when I first load up, and it does take a long time to load the unit itself, but it doesn't appear to be that big of a deal, so I'm not too concerned with it. Alright, Bill and Jebediah. Let's use up some of our power, I think, to keep ourselves straight, because this thing should have some kind of torque unit on it, I hope. Unless we're now to a point where we have enough air where we don't need it. Let's turn that off then and see what it does. Okay, we're at 4 times time acceleration. We should be coming in to our burn pattern shortly. Doesn't look like it's catching. We are catching air now, but it doesn't look like it's converting it, or it's aerodynamically sound. Now that might be possibly because of this unit on top, but I don't think so. I don't think that's it. So let's go ahead and see what we can do. Come on, buddy. We might just overshoot this entire landmass at this point. I don't know. Okay, it's 36. Oh, there we go. There we go. Now we're catching air. Now we're catching air. We just had to come down to where air was thick enough. Alright, so at about 30k, or are we wanting to flip over still? Okay, so there's our fire. Ooh, nice. We might want to straighten that out, though. Just a little bit. There we go. Now, as I said, not a big deal because we don't have the Deadly Reentry mod on, but we'll take a look and we'll see what it looks like. It may look totally awesome, may not look awesome at all. Doesn't help when I drop that unit down. Not bad. Not grand or too glorious, but not bad. Oh, there we go. Now it's getting heavy. Nice, big, and bright down there. Zoom. I'm not sure if our Kerbals can see it. Doesn't look like they can. So yeah, oh, I know what it is. We're having that problem again where it wants to tilt to the side, even though I don't know if it's a drag issue or what it is, because this thing is completely uniform and using all standard home module parts. So I don't know why the thing is causing so much drag to that side, but it is. I really wish I knew why. Or drag is on this side and whatnot. But when we take off with a rocket, we always want to fly that way, and now it wants to tilt that way. So I'm not sure what's causing that. So there's our burn-in. I suppose we'd want to wait for that thing to well, apparently we can lower our gear, which probably wouldn't be a great idea. Let's go ahead and decouple and see what that blowback looks like. Alright, so it's a pretty good knockaway. Not bad. Whoa, that's odd. Oh, water, okay. I'm like, what is that? We're about to land in the only oasis in this entire desert. I love it. Alright, so we're still tilting a little bit. Let's bring our speed down to about 200. That's about standard for a parachute, usually. Usually. Oh man, we should have brought a rover with us. That would have been great. We landed in the only oasis out here in the middle of the desert. Where are we at? 7,000? 6,000? Our Kerbals are going to be happy about this. Oh, well, Jebediah, of course, is very happy about it. Bill, not so much, maybe. Our tank's falling, too. Alright. That should be good enough. So we pop our chutes. So we have 4 big parachutes. All our stuff's going to fall without us. Bye-bye, guys. See their shadows. Creepy stuff. I think that's their shadows. Looks like their shadows, unless it's something else. And boom. Sometime. Eventually. Well, when the shadow meets the point, it'll go boom. So, I think that might be our shadow, honestly. And boom, there it is. That's nice. You can see it out here in the desert. Look at that. We landed near water. Oh, our Kerbals are going to be happy now. Landed at an oasis. I'm not even sure if that oasis is supposed to be there. But it's nice that it is. That's cool. Alright, we can lower our gear really quick. Boom. Alright, so there's our jolt. There's our parachutes, our gigantic parachutes. Really wide open parachutes. You can probably see them from inside. Oh, sun's poking right through. Yeah, the sun's at like high noon right now. That's why. So we're at 400 meters. Let's bring it down. Just as quick as we can. So this video isn't too long. But I just want to see how it looks and how it works when we hit the ground. Just kind of make sure that our parachutes don't break off due to the physics issues of time acceleration. And coming down very gently. Oh, a little crooked, but gently anyway. Boom. Oh, okay. Little wobbly, but it looks like it all worked out. So there we have it. There is the H.O.M.E module version 104, or the H.O.M.E module 2. We have our standardized cockpit, which can be replaced with any standard 2-meter cockpit that you'd like to use, whether it be the one with the big eyeball on the top for 1 Kerman, or the T-can for 2, or whichever you'd like, or you can even put a hitchhiker module on top of it if you felt like it. We have our external units here, which we can just open up and run as we see fit. We have our gas tanks and everything else, or fuel tanks, so we can have a nice big old home out here in the desert for everybody to live in and everyone to enjoy. Nice modular design. So I guess that's all there is for this mod. Like I said, I could show you the airlock, but I don't really think it's that big of a deal right now. There is no ant upgrade yet. If you can get the ant to work, you can of course use it with the old home module system. You can put these together in whatever order you want and use whatever pieces and parts you want to use. The fuel converter is very awesome and very, very helpful if you want to convert fuel and you're on another planet. That's super awesome, especially if you don't like the kethane mod or don't want to hunt for kethane. You can just use air intake. So all wonderful things. So once again, I would like to thank you all very much for joining me, 4KB Short, on this Let's Learn with Bobcat's Home 2 version 1.05, which is currently available on the spaceport for Kerbal Space Program version 0.21. And I will see you guys next video.